All right, guys. So today's topic, I'll be sharing some of my views and my experience with Core Web Vitals that is coming out from Google's SERP, and it's been in effect from mid-June this year. And just a little disclaimer that whatever suggestions I'm giving in this presentation, I'm not responsible, or you're just responsible for your own side if you break it. So in this presentation, we'll be figuring out these are some factors, the web vitals and the core web vitals. These are the factors that Google uses in measuring the user experience of the web pages. And it's not just one factor, it's one of the 200 plus factors that Google uses to rank the sites on its search engine. And these are actually three subsets. And the last, I would give you a few page speed tools that I use. And obviously they're from Google because this is a Google algorithm. So a little bit of introduction about me. My name is Baljinder Singh. If it's hard to pronounce, you can just say Mike. That's what I did when I used to do some client calling. It's hard to spell out my name. And as Christina said, I'm the owner of WPX Houston. And right now, this year, we started WP Spin LLC. So we are going out of Houston and covering all North America, including US and Canada. And I have a team of developers who work as assistants to me. I am a web engineer by profession. I do back end and front end coding. We usually deal with like complex stuff, whatever, um, whatever crazy stuff you can think of doing on WordPress. We do that. And so the first thing is, what are the core web vitals? So it's different than the page speed. You remember if I remember I did a presentation in 2018 where I covered about load speed of the website and how to measure it from GT metrics and stuff like that. So it has went a lot beyond than just page speed and page load. It's totally different, but it's just one factor. And Google considers it important because it's based on user experience, and Google is more declined towards having a great user experience and the page load speed as well. So there are some uh, these are subset of the factors. It's so core vitals is like three things that you need to consider to have a good page and to have good user experience on the page. And that's what Google used to score the sites. And it measures near to human web page experience with some AI tools that Google has developed. So it's not more into machine, but it's near to human kind of user experience measurement that Google does. And again, it's just one out of 200 plus factors to rank a website as per Google algorithm. So these are some of the page experiences factors. We can say them subsets. So these are the three subsets that we're going to cover. These are other factors of page experience. So the core vitals are how the page loads, how it interacts with the user, and what's the visual stability of the content of the web page. And there are other web vitals like your site should be responsive. And Google is pushing towards having a mobile friendly site more. And the scores that it collects, it's usually based on how your site works on the mobile device. And it appreciates if you have a mobile friendly site, and it should have safe browsing. You should not have like pop-ups, adware and stuff like that, and it should be on HTTPS. And another, it should not have fancy pop-ups as seen on TV and stuff like that. So we'll cover the core web vitals. Let's start with like why it's so important. So officially, this is a Google ranking factor for the search results and how it ranks the websites. And it has been going since mid-June this year. And this is a super important part. And it does not mean that a grade score, if you have, let's say, 99 over 100, it does not mean that your website would be pushed to number one spot. It is just one factor. Again, content is the king. Whatever service you're providing, that matters a lot. This is just an important factor. And the first subset is loading, like how the site is loading, and it is called largest contentful paint. So this is one of the first subset that Google does. So it measures like how much time your web page took to load, and how it does that, as the name says, it checks the largest content of your web page, largest element. This could be a biggest image or a bigger code like a paragraph tag or whatever, and it measures like from the starting to end where what kind of time it took to load. And this is what largest contentful page is. So on the side, I'm gonna open Google PageSpeed so we can also see what's going on. I'll push my site first. So I'm doing a page speed analysis of my website. It's kind of bad, I can guarantee. So I use this page speed thing. You can just Google page speed insights and you'll be able to get to the link. Okay. And this is where you can put up your URL. Please make sure that you include HTTPS. If you don't, it will create a redirect, and the results and the scores might be a little different than the actual. Okay, others are working, so I can just start over them. So this is how the page speed report is. And if you can see, so there are these are the two core vitals that you can see this bookmark icon, and it can show like what are the timings for these. So it says largest contentful paint. It just means that whatever bigger element of your web page is, how much time it takes to load. And if we check about this site, it's of my client. And if we check about what's the largest contentful paint element, it is the video element because it's kind of bigger in the size. So Google checks the size in pixels as well as the code quality and the code density. And it just measures this one bigger element and checks out like what's the load speed of the complete page. And this happens from the time you click on one link and the page starting to pop up. Then it's different than TTFB. If you have done a check on page speed, let's say 6 months earlier, 6 months back, so you'll be able to see like TTFB, and there was FCP, but first contextual paint. So these were the two terms that Google was using in the older algorithm. So these have been changed because largest contentful paint, this new vital, gives more better results. And it looks for the loading of largest element on the web page. Another thing is that it's not like that it's a video element or image element that it treats it's larger. It can also treat your H tags or paragraph tags to be larger. Just it does not include the wrapper tags like div, section, nav, table, I think. Yeah, it does not include that. So this is one of the guidelines that Google gives. So if LCP score is less than a little more than 2 seconds, it's treated to be good. If it's less than 4 seconds, it's like better, but it needs improvement. And the poor is when it takes more than 6 seconds. And if we look over here, this one side, it's taking 3 seconds, which comes under this benchmark. It's fine. And if we look over here, this side, it takes like 4.2 seconds, which is more than two, no, which is more than 4 seconds. So it's poor. The only thing that we can do is we can fix these items. I'll explain more in detail on what all these suggestions mean. I'm trying to see, okay, it, so these are more better results because I got more errors to explain. And yep, it gives 4.4 seconds. And if I see my largest content, you can see it's H2 tag because I have set all my images to lazy load. So that's why it's treating the H2 as the largest one. So it's better if your page should hit less than 2.5 seconds of with the LCP. And the fixes that we can do is remove any unnecessarily third-party scripts. You know, we are using um, third-party scripts like, let's say, YouTube or some APIs or some trackers and stuff like that. So it's if it's not necessary to be on one page, we can remove it. And another fix is upgrade your web host because web host is quite important over here because I'm not talking about web hosts that give unlimited speed. I'm sorry, unlimited storage, unlimited inodes and stuff like that. They give you unlimited space and unlimited websites, but they have one feature which is IO port. It's just like a pipe to connect your server with the browser, and it's pretty low, maybe a few bytes per second or something. I would recommend if you do web hosting with some of the better WordPress managed hostings. I prefer WordPress WP Engine, Flywheel, or Pagely, or Pantheon, or stuff like that. And another fix we can do is set up lazy loading. So Google checks the element which is larger, and mostly the images, the video, the media files, these are actually the largest content, largest element on the page. So it's better to have lazy loading. Since WordPress 5.5, the lazy loading of images is coming by default, but it's still in basic. And if you're using some fancy plugins, it won't work. So it's better to use a better plugin that can work with lazy. They can have your images loaded lazily. I would recommend. So for my clients, I use two kind of plugins, whatever works with the hosting and the website. I use auto optimize. So okay, auto optimize. I use this one or I use WP Rocket. The free version works, so you can give it a try, whatever works with your website. And remove large page elements. So in case if you have some elements in the page which are, not required, um, which are just adding to just the design, you can remove them. I'm talking the large page elements because even if you have a background image on any of the div, that needs to be, it acts like a LCP element. So you don't need to do that. And the last thing is minify your CSS because this can also be treated as a LCP element because CSS file is on, it's a media file. So it's better if you minify it. And the second core vital is interactivity. It's called first input delay. It's actually the time it takes for a user to actually, interact with your page. So if so, what does it mean? It means that from the first instance of a user to use your menu option or links on the navigation, populating a field like filling up the email address in a field or name, or let's say doing some interaction, that's what it takes into account, like first input. And whatever delay happens once you enter the URL up to when you enter some details in one of the field, it takes as a first input delay. And it does not accounts the scrolling and zooming of the site as the input, because those are like passive activities. It's important because it shows how real life user interacts with your website. So if it takes, let's say, 10 seconds for a user to, add his email or name, or even click on, let's say, menu, so it's not good. And Google does not want you to have those kind of delays. And there are some pages, if you are having a blog site without any interaction, where you want people to just read, so FID is probably isn't a big deal. So on the page speed, so you won't see the FID on my side because it's not taking any input. And there's actually a fields, they're actually form, but I'm lazy loading it, so it does not accounts for the first input. So there's nothing it can find on the input. Same on this side. So we cannot find any input over here. So there is no FID. But on this side, there is, you can see get started button, and it has email field just on the first fold, if you can follow my cursor. So this has the first input delay. It actually, one another thing, it also checks about what's happening on the first fold. So if your field is not at the first fold, it can ignore it. So the first input delay on this side is just 58 milliseconds. And that's why it's okay. So there's the benchmark. Google says that the input delay should be little under 115 milliseconds. And if it's under 300, it's fine. But if it's more than 300, it's pretty poor. So here's one fascinating fact. Google says that interaction should be done within, let's say, 120 milliseconds, which is almost like tenth of a second, right? But you might say tenth of a second, it's nothing to, it's nothing catching to humanize, right? But it's not like that. So there's a little exercise that we can do over the call. So here's one, humanbenchmark.com. I want you to open it up on your phone or your desktops and just click on this reaction time. So when you scroll down, you'll see this reaction time button. Click over here. So it'll test your reaction time. It says to me when the red box turns green, click as quickly as you can. So I'm gonna start it just to check what's my reaction time. Okay. Okay, so it says 404 seconds, but the website is not working. Just give me a minute. It's pretty interesting. So it's 432 milliseconds for me. Even if you guys try, I'm pretty much sure you'll do under 300 or even less than that. So that's our human brain, and it does not mean that I'm slow. I'm just focused on other things at the same time. But you can share your results, your reaction time on the chat, just for fun. So this is the first input delay guideline of Google. So how we can improve it? First thing is you can minimize and defer JavaScript. Again, you can use a plugin. Auto Optimize is a good option. WP Rocket is a good option. W3TC Total Cache, I think some of us might be using it. I have never, I've never had any success with that plugin, but Auto Optimize and WP Rocket works perfectly for me. So what you have to do, there's an option of minimizing and deferring a JavaScript files, which you can do it. And please make sure to take backups before doing that. Another thing we can do is remove any user tracking scripts. So we have like Google Analytics, and we have Facebook pixels, we have pixels from other vendors and stuff like that. We have Hotjar, we have a lot of stuff, right? From coming from third party. That adds up a lot to the delay of input, first input. So Google says that you should use minimum, and if possible, just remove every user tracking script. But here's one fix that I found. If you move them to G tag, it's a Google Tag Manager thing. If you move every of those scripts to G tag and add the embed tag of Google Tag Manager with async property, Google provides you that, so you don't have to, find out anything on the internet. You just need to go Google Tag Manager. You go in, create tags, you'll get a script, just use that anywhere on the site, following the instructions. And you'll be able to figure this out. Third is use a browser cache. And this is pretty simple. Your server is able to handle it. Even some of the plugins are able to handle it. The third and the last thing is visual stability, is the CLS. It's cumulative layout shift. What it actually means is that how much your layout is being shifted. So if you can see this tree map over here, so you can go, so on the fourth map, it started to showing up my website, but it did a shift over here, and it's then consistent. And if you can, let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, if you can see this, it's also changing the layout. So everything counts in the layout shift, and it's basically um, that your layout of the page should not change that much. If I check with other sites, we have six 6 millisecond, even yeah, 6 milliseconds of layout shift, which is perfect. And over here we have zero layout shift. If you can see, nothing is changing since the first layout to the last one. And how we can fix it, okay, that's in another slide. So if your elements on your page move around as the page loads, then you'll get the high CLS rate, and it's not good for the scores. So what happens, let's say in my case, in my website, so this first bar is getting generated, and then it generates all other whole page, and then it's changing with the icon. So there's a layout shift. So anything on your first fold that is generating the layout change, that is not good. We have to tackle it up. Just the only Google's concern is that if your layout is shifting, and if a user is on your site and he tries to click on one link, but your layout is shifting, there's a possibility that accidentally another links might get clicked. And if you are lazy loading, okay, one thing, I told that you should have lazy loading of the images, but what lazy loading does is it does not adds the image URL in the image tag, but it just keep it blank. What happens, the img tag is like, let's say this much size, but when the lazy loading works, it expands it, and that becomes the CLS, the layout shift. So what we can do, if there's an image and you want it to lazy load, but you cannot do from any plugins or something, you have to hard code it. Make sure you add width and size attributes in the image tag, so it'll work. And it's just to prevent to click on something by mistake by the user. And these are the guidelines. Point one, it's like 100 milliseconds. It's good if it's under 100. It would be fine if it goes, let's say, 250 milliseconds. But if it's more than 250, it's always poor, and we have to work on it. There are a few things that we can do. As I said, set the size attribute dimensions for all the media files. So in case if they load, they should not add to the layout shift. And if you are having a blog site, you might have ads. I'm not talking about Google ads, but there are some ads that some ad codes that you put and they do the layout shift. So make sure they have a reserved space. If your ad code does not have that reserved space, what you can do, you can wrap them up in div or span, and you can give that specific space. You can just reserve that space for the ad and give it height and width attribute. And if you have some new UI elements, just like I have it, and this element is getting generated dynamically. So if you are generating some elements dynamically, let's say um, something with the Ajax, you should be doing that below the fold. So this is kind of fold. This is the first fold, whatever screen I'm able to see without scrolling. So this is the first fold. Yep, so these were the three items. Now the measuring tools that I use. First is the page speed insights. You can find on Google. Um, just you have to type page speed insights and you'll get the link. Also, if you're interested, I can share the CDN. I'm sorry, I can share the links. I can share these links in the chat and you can copy it from there. So this is the one tool that I use. It gives you a lot of options. You can see these suggestions that Google is making. So my images, some of my images are not lazy loading, actually most of them. So Google wants me to fix them. Then there is one of the render blocking resource error. You would probably get it. So it just means that you should combine all the CSS files and combine the JS files if it's not breaking your site, and you can do it from the plugins that I mentioned. jQuery, you can keep it away. It will add a little bit of stress over here, but it's fine. But you can remove all these, or you can combine all these files and push into one, and you can make them load. If there's unused JavaScript that you don't want to use, you can again defer them. And so all these things that I'm explaining, that these can be done from the plugins. You don't need to hard code anything unless your website is using any special plugin or some special coding. And this one is related to the server. So it's just saying that I need a better server. but it's fine. I can just ignore it because I have a lot many factors on the top. Then there is this reduce unused CSS. So what you can do once you defer the CSS files from the plugins, there's an option to generate above the fold CSS. You just have to click that option. Every speed enhancement plugin has that option. Just use it and you'll be fine. Uh, yeah, this is related to the same thing, but this would be fine. If you use some of the plugins, this would go away. And there are other options like how my web font should be loaded. So these are actually the code quality things that Google wants me to fix. And that's it. So if you look at, so this is one of my client side. We have improved their score. And you can see their LCP is 3.1, which is better. CLS, it's 6 milliseconds, which is good. And there's no, so from the second screen, second tree map, the website starts to load. So the server is perfect. And it shows all these other details, but again, you cannot get, let's say, 99 score unless you have a blank screen. And what else? Yeah, so this was the first tool that I use. The other tool that I use is WebDev, and this is a direct link of measuring. Yeah, so you can put up your URL on here, click on run audit, and it will check not just the performance, but also accessibility, best practices, and the SEO. And I usually like to test on WebDev measure because it also provides you the report option. And once you click the report, it gives you a lot many things that you were seeing in the page speed insights. And another tool that you can use is Google Search Console. So with these tools, I'm measuring the scores one by one using the URLs. But if you have a Google Search Console, you'll see an option. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so this is one of the old site I had. So if you open the Search Console and you have your site connected, you'll see this core web vitals over here, and it will show you all the URLs of your site and how they do on the scoring point of view. And yeah, um, that's it. Thank you again.
Oh my God, it's so much. Oh my gosh. I know that I just have a couple questions for you. So Google Tag Manager. So we've always just installed analytics. If we use Google Tag Manager, it's because we've got PPC going, we got, Active Campaign, we got all kinds of stuff. And it was just so much better to use GTM. Are you saying that GTM, it, it helps in terms of what Google's looking at as to compressed code? Is it is it because GTM is so, I don't know the word for it, structured or
Yep.
compressed and how they do it rather than just inserting the Google Analytics code? Should we all just have a GTM account and then put our Google Analytics code inside GTM?
Yeah, that's right. The only reason of combining them in GTag is that you don't have to worry about, you know, any external plugin or
Mm-hmm.
anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's what we like it.
Combines
Mm-hmm.
everything. It has the conditions and all those items. It has a lot of compression uh, factor. It has like it's perfect from all point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Just there is one additional fix that I did on these websites. So even Google Tag Manager was showing up in the resources. It was slowing down the sites. So what we did as a, you can say, a workaround, we put the G tag into set timeout
Mm-hmm.
function. So what happens, it does not act when the page load, but after like the page is starting to load, after like 2 seconds or 3 seconds, then it starts adding the G tag, and then it starts running their wheel, and Google cannot view that.
I think you can also exclude pages too. So if you put some code on something, it doesn't have to be on every single page. So if you've got like WooCommerce, you've got product pages, you don't need to have, certain code, you don't have to be on the product page. I think that's another reason why we like GTM as well. Another question was about WEBP images. Instead of JPEG, you see this entire transition using .WEBP. Am I right in saying that WordPress, the next round of WordPress, the next, yeah, it's going to incorporate that natively, right?
Yeah, 5.8.
5.8 is going to have WEBP as so we use a tool that'll compress all these images that we might upload, and it has the option to create WEBP images. Mm-hmm. Should I be having my team create WEBPs right off the bat and just upload them? Or, I mean, I'm just not that familiar with them. So I'm looking at, the core vitals. And if they're saying, hey, convert these over to this other format, should I just be, instead of JPEGs and PNGs, should I just be creating this file system?
So I'm not surprised, or you can say I'm not using WebP, because the thing is, it checks the browser user agent, and what it does, if you open on the Chrome, you can see the WebP elements, and that page gets cached. But if it's cached page you open on Firefox, on Edge, it does not open. It does not open the images. And same thing, if you open the page first on Firefox, it creates the cache without WebP, then you're not seeing the WebP on the Chrome. So that's kind of bummer, and it's a kind of, one part, or you have to trade on something. So I'm not converting my images to
not
WebP.
yet.
Not yet. Not yet, until every browser is, giving it a green light.
Supporting it, yeah. I'm forgetting the name of the tool that we use.
Is it WebP converter?
Is it Short Pixel? No, it's an image compression tool that on the fly will compress all of our images. We'll get back about 50% of our server space, but there's the option to create these WebP files as an and I believe it'll actually load depending on the browser. So I wasn't sure if now I should just upload them all as a WebP image, but I guess not. I'll wait. So, yeah. Anyone else have any questions for Mike? Steve snuck in there. Hey, Steve. What's up? You're muted.
Oh, sorry.
Did you have any questions? Anyone have any questions about performance? And I know I use WP Rocket a lot, essentially to compress our websites and help with that. I think another thing that we're trying to do is make sure that cumulative layout. So I don't like pop-ups, which this now gives me even more reason not to like pop-ups. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And anyone else? Christopher, your presentation pulled core vitals together for me. I'll be using your note on setting the image size during lazy load right away. Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. No one's got any questions? Come on, this is super complicated. Come on. Anyone else? Rick?
Well, it wasn't that, but you said something that you were using a plugin, WP Rocket. I don't know if you noted, if you saw this, but the WordPress repository is going to start disallowing plugins to have WP in their name.
Yeah.
Yes, we faced those things with our plugins that were hosted on WordPress. So we are changing all from, we are just replacing Woo, WP, WordPress, and all those things with just something generic. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would go away. But yeah, I think it would go away soon.
I did have one question when I went to page. I was while you were talking, I went to Page Speed Insights and ran it on my website. It's horrible. I don't know what the lowest you've seen, but my website's probably down there. I think it was like 31. But then that was for mobile. But when I did desktop, it was like 76. So apparently that makes a difference. But one of the things that pointed out was the running excess JavaScript. So I went there and clicked on one of the links, and it took me to a 404 page, which at Google didn't help me any. It didn't tell me.
Okay, what's that for a link? Like, is that a JS file or what?
Oh no, that was when I clicked on the Google link in the Page Insights. It took me to a 404 Google page, a page in Google that was 404, and it was supposed to look at. It was according to the description, it was going to tell me some information about Java excess JavaScript loading. I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know when that
No,
failed to load. It didn't give me any information to do anything with.
yeah, it's Google stuff, so
Yeah,
no comment.
I know you can't fix Google, but it was kind of weird that they had a link in their own description that took you to a page, a 404 page.
Mm-hmm. That might be possible that it was a cached link somewhere on your browser and you pulled it up. Maybe you should try on using incognito and see if that shows up again.
Yeah, I'll try it again and see. I was using Firefox. Maybe it doesn't like Firefox.
I love Firefox over
I
Chrome.
do too.
Doesn't
I only use Chrome when I got to.
Well, I know that was one of the biggest things that we've been working on for a few of our sites is the Core Vital. So we've got some pretty big sites that are kind of nationwide, and part of we didn't build them. So we've just been eternally for the last year fixing. And what we found out is any of these themes that you get from Envato, oh, good Lord, like they're the worst. They're the worst when it comes to Core Vitals. I mean, stuff is moving all around as it's loading. They've always got some kind of slideshow deck thing that's going back and forth on the first run of the homepage. And so if anything, advice for any of you guys, if you're looking for a theme, these Envato themes, yes, they look cool because they have every bell and whistle you can think of. They'll have like every version of a service page and about several contact us pages, and it's like, oh my gosh, I could do so much. But in the end, this you will get a very poor user experience because the code is so bloated, and they put in things like WP Bakery that is super bloated code, and they just throw everything but the kitchen sink in there. And with these Core Vitals, it's really become very, very apparent from a user's perspective that these themes just don't do what they're supposed to do. And I haven't seen any of these developers fix that. But I guess you get people that buy these things for $27 a year, and every 6 months they don't update and support. So just be really careful. We actually have 3 of these sites right now, and that's all we've been doing is fixing code constantly, working around it, adding, the other question I have for you, Mike, is Cloudflare. We struggle using Cloudflare and WP Rocket. They tend not to like each other. And especially when we were doing Core Vitals, we were trying to find more and more ways so that first paintful is up, so that JavaScript was one of the last the loads. But is there anything in Cloudflare that you would recommend? Do we even need WP Rocket?
I need to see like what's the result and what's blocking it before
Oh,
suggesting anything. Yeah,
mm.
I'm not sure. Are you using CDN from Cloudflare or
Yes.
something else?
CDN. Yes, we are.
Yeah, there's knowledge base articles out there, but basically turn off your minification and compression in WP Rocket.
Yeah.
You have to.
We've tried that. Get some issues with serious caching issues. The page will be blank.
Go ahead and also install the Cloudflare plugin on your site.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, the cache doesn't purge correctly.
Yep. Tried that too. We'll purge. We'll purge. I think
And are you paying for Cloudflare, or are you using the free version?
we're using the free version.
Make sure you've disabled the minification of the stuff at Cloudflare then.
Oh, okay. I think that was okay. That makes sense. Cool. Yeah, we had that Cloudflare plugin. I'm trying to think which one was it. It was why can't I think of the name?
Have you ever did core web core or core web vitals on some of the default themes? You know, like 2020, 2021.
I haven't. Anyone here have?
I'm just curious. You were talking about, you know, some of the Envato themes were loaded with everything. I think the default themes are pretty minimal as far as.
Yeah, well, yeah, because usually it's just a theme. They don't really incorporate every bundled plugin.
Yeah.
You know, these Envato themes include WP Bakery, first off, you know, and then they'll have maybe Yoast or something else. I mean, everything in there, everything. And so it just bloats the code so much.
Yeah.
Mike, do you start with any themes, or do you build from scratch?
I build from scratch
I thought so.
because yeah, even if I use Elementor or all these page builders, they put a lot of trash codes, which are hard to change.
Mm-hmm. Elon says themes. Check out the Divi 4.1 speed enhancements released today. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I can say that. So I use Beaver Builder. Sorry, but I do. We don't build web apps. We don't build large, complicated websites, I think, like you do. But so I think that's one of the things that Elementor, Beaver Builder, Divi, it sounds like, have been working really, really hard to fix their code and their speed and their optimization. So I've seen some good improvements from them lately, but I agree with you. It can be pretty bloated. Be careful for sure. One thing I've learned when
Gutenberg.
Gutenberg, yeah, for sure. But yeah,
I
we'll
think
see.
it's easier, it's faster, and okay. I like WP Bakery. I got a lot of money for my company, for company I work for, changing websites from Beaver WP Bakery, Beaver Builder, Elementor to new team, our team, what we have. So I like it in a way.
The revenue generator.
If no one's got any other questions for Mike, we can go into the Q&A round if anyone's got any issues with their website. I mean, we've got some experts here. We got Mike and Steve and Eric. And so there's all kinds of people here to help you out. So if you're stuck on something, you got an issue or a problem with your website, or just need some help, you know, a third-party viewpoint on a website, feel free, share it. We're open. We're very, very cool about stuff. So just let me know. Anyone have any issues, questions about their own website?
One thing one website I ran across that might help you decide whether you want to use WebP image formats. I'll put the link in the description here, in the chat, I should say. It's called Can I Use?
Oh, cool.
And it shows what browsers support what new things are coming out.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
cool, thanks.
Most of the new modern browsers do support WebP natively.
Right. Awesome.
Sorry, anybody knows about this Adobe Photoshop? If they support WebP? making WebP images?
I have not seen that. Because sometimes if I need a WP, like say I download something, I have to go to a website to convert WBP to like JPEG. Photoshop, I haven't seen them offer it. I'm looking at it now, and even a save as feature, there's no WebP option.
I have the simple version of Photoshop.
Yeah. Oh, here, Christopher just threw something in here. Oh, there's a plugin. Ah, cool. All right. And let me find out what is the name of the plugin that I'm using.
Oh, that's good.
So no one's got any other questions about their website? If you're a newbie, where'd you coming from, and share with us your website. Love to see it. If, just maybe an outsider's viewpoint, now's your chance. We got a photographer in here.
Mm-hmm.
You want us to look at your site? Come on, we love photography sites. Come on. No? It's too shy.
We looked at my site last time when we met.
That's right. That's right. How's it going?
I finally fixed that. I just haven't had time to start them, the WordPress site yet.
Right. All right. What was your site? Refresh my memory. What was that? What was your problem? You were
JKQ Photography.
Right, but what was your problem last time? Did you have it on a different format?
It's a different template.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
It wasn't WordPress.
Yeah, that's right. So you're thinking about moving it to WordPress. You just haven't done that yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
I haven't had the time to
I hear you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Lisa, Anne, anything about your own? Any questions about building a site that you're running now? Elon? Eric?
Struggling a little bit with, I got a notification from WooCommerce that they're retiring the PayPal checkout extension plugin, and they want you to go to their PayPal payments plugin. But when I look at that plugin, it's got horrible reviews. Like it's not working right.
It does. It has some terrible reviews, but it is actually working pretty good. They released it as a beta and obviously generated a lot of bad reviews, very similar to the Gutenberg plugin.
Yeah.
There are still limitations to it, but it does give you actually SCA, the secure credit, whatever that means. So you'll actually get better security on your payments. If you want to use it with the WooCommerce blocks, you're actually gonna have to switch over to this. With the latest versions of WooCommerce, they've even disabled the native PayPal, so you have to use a plugin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we switched over just recently for a couple of our sites. We haven't had any problems. It's been working fine. So I think you'll be okay. You'll be okay, Lisa.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at it earlier and I was like, because I always go to the reviews to see how, buggy or what problems people had with it. I was like, oh my God.
As you should. Everybody should go to a plugin and look at the reviews first. But yeah, I think Eric makes a good point, is double check what version the reviews are on. I'm not sure in WooCommerce if they show reviews by version, but I think over in the WordPress repository, I believe they do. So, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's like they're wanting to push everybody to that because the notice says that it says all active developments will halt on September 1st, and then support ends March 1st. So
which means any
March
security
1st, no more updates.
Yeah, which means any security or anything involving that particular section with PayPal is going to be, you'll be in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. Be toast.
So. But very cool. Anyone else? Anne, did you have a website that you want to share?
It's good enough. I do have one.
That's okay. We're here to help.
I know. That's why I'm coming here, to get all the knowledge I can.
Okay.
learning on my own for a long time.
Good, good. So where are you with your website?
I've done whatever I could.
What is your website about?
I can show you.
About what?
I can show you.
Okay. Here, I'll share my screen. Throw it in the chat.
It's not good at all.
Oh, stop. Everyone's got to start somewhere. It's all good.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Moment of truth here.
It's horrible.
No, stop.
I mean, that was a really first website. Horrible, horrible.
It's okay. Like I said, everyone's got to start somewhere. So we just got to help each other out here. Hold on, let me share my screen.
It's good.
What are you talking about? That's all right. You're doing all right.
I mean, no. I'm talking about you show Google first, and I said.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, I think it's doing okay. There you go.
Yes.
For a first website, it's good. It's good. Cortical visual impairment. I'm sorry, what?
I'm saying if this is your first website, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to figure out everything.
You did good.
That is good.
Yeah.
It's still a work in progress.
No, you're doing good. You should not be ashamed of this. This is great.
It's more informative, I could say, I am a teacher by profession.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I work with other teachers. So I want them to go in and read at the blogs.
Ah.
Yes, I direct them to the blog because there are questions that they keep asking me regularly on a daily basis. So I didn't want to keep repeating myself.
Sure.
That is good.
This is great. What are you talking about? This is great. Oh, okay. So then you switch over to got some merch going too. Look at you. You got merch.
It was just a really learning experience. Just playing with stuff.
That's awesome. How's sales?
No, nothing. Nothing.
You got to get on Instagram and some social media and do a little merch sales there.
No, I do. Where I do my sales, I do a little bit. That just covers my cost for my domain name, my hosting, and just a little bit with Teacher Pay Teacher. I have a link. Yeah. Where it says shop. Yeah. That's if I sell any little, that's me right there.
Yeah.
I do some little interactive things for special education students.
Very cool.
The teachers go in there and then they download it.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. It's so niche too. It's like so. Have you looked at your analytics to see what kind of people are coming to the site and how many and where they're coming from?
A lot of people just go straight to Teachers Pay Teacher.
Ah, okay.
A lot of this, I've not looked at any analytic, honestly, I have not.
Okay.
I'm still, like I said, it's really a work in progress.
No, it's all good. Your analytics will help you. If it's a work in progress, as basically every website on the planet is a work in progress, really. It'll help you with some decision making. Should I add pay? Should I move this here? Stuff like that. It kind of gives you some good information. So, but this is great.
I started just really information for some teachers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks. Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
Yay. Well, guys, if there's no other kind of questions, we can chill and hang. I'm cool with that. If y'all want to just chat, I'm cool. I had to drop my daughter off back at school, so I've been driving and moving all day. So, but anyone else? I mean, I'll talk. You want me to talk? I'll talk. I have to.
So, Christina, how was Germany?
It was fabulous. I tell you, it was really depressing coming back with the heat and the flatness of Texas, because
Oh, did you go for vacation in Germany?
Yeah, we were in Bavaria for about 3 weeks. So,
where?
Bavaria, which is southern Germany.
Oh, I used to be in Erlangen, Nuremberg.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yep.
We were just south of Munich. So I heard.
Yeah. I know that. Okay.
Yep. It was nice and cool, and afternoon rains and mountains and fresh, clean air. And so right. As much as I love Texas, I tell you, it's just like suffocating at 98 degrees. You're like, ugh. But yeah, it was great. I have to say, everything's open. So if y'all want to travel, just got to get a vaccination. Just get vaccinated. And you can go over. They're cool. They'll let you in. Just got to get a PCR test, 72-hour COVID-free test, and they'll let you in. It's all good. Mm-hmm. Crossing borders was easy. Nobody stopped or anything. So we went to Italy. We went to Cinque Terre and to Pisa and Florence. And so we traveled. We were out of here. Like, I'm done. I'm out. Gotta go.
That sounds so cool. Yeah, last to last weekend, I did Vegas and Grand Canyon rafting trip.
Oh.
3 days at rafting, no shower, no actual. So we were out of luxury at all. Even we had, a bucket-sized toilets. So it was, yeah, but I feel so relieved when I get back to Texas.
Yeah.
From 105 degrees to at least.
Oh, you went the other direction. Gosh, was that an all-day trip down the canyon?
3 days.
3 days.
Yeah, they do 7-day and 15-day as well. And you have to go through all the rapids with their special boats. It's kind of awesome.
I could do 3 days. 7 days? No. 3 days, that's perfect. Especially the no shower thing. Yeah, I'm not a camping kind of girl, so I like the glam camping, bring my RV with me, But that sounds awesome. How long were you in Las Vegas?
Just like 5 days. Actually,
we had a legit trip. Nice. I used to live in Las Vegas. I lived there for about 3 years, so it wasn't like it is now. It was seedy when I lived there. It was old Vegas when I lived there. So the kind of place that you didn't want to drive up and down the strip. You drove up and down the strip to look at all the hookers all the time. It was pretty bad.
I don't want to start over here, actually.
And it wasn't the what happens in Vegas. It was like, you just don't go to Vegas. You don't bring your family to Vegas, basically. So.
Exactly. No one gets its own bottle in the bar, right?
God. So cool. Steve, have you traveled at all?
No.
Nope.
No, I stayed here.
Yeah.
I worked.
You worked. Where are you working now?
Actual SEO Media.
Where?
Actual SEO Media. It's near Westheimer.
Oh, okay.
Westheimer, Derry Ashford.
I've not heard of them.
No.
No. What kind of work do they do?
SEO.
Oh.
Web design.
Oh, the whole thing. Okay.
That's it.
Wait, put it in the chat. I can't understand. Put in the chat what the name of the company is, because I'm not hearing you right. So I think I threw, if you haven't seen it, we do have a Facebook group, and I think I threw in the Facebook group a question about your favorite marketing podcasts. Bye, Eric. Oh, actual SEO Media. Oh, okay. So if you haven't yet, please go ahead and join the Facebook group. I do share, I've recorded this, so I will share this in the Facebook group and on YouTube. So you can go to the YouTube channel, you can see all the past meetups. And, but yeah, hop on over there and ask any questions you have. Everyone's pretty cool and pretty good about helping each other out. So if you haven't done that yet, that'd be great. Other than that.
What's the name of the Facebook group?
Let me put the link in for you. Well, here's the page. But let me get the group. Oh, the group. Groups. There we are. And this is the group. I'm trying to be kind of strict about it just being Houstonians. So if you're in Australia, I might let you in. If you've been to this meetup, I might let you in. But I'm trying to keep it just with Houstonians to keep it legit with that. But anyway. Well, like I said, next month, hopefully it'll be in person at the Fort Bend Chamber. The month after that, most likely will be Zoom. But I think next month will be either SEO or PPC conversation. So depending on which speaker I'm going to get. So, but I will for sure let everybody know. But if that's all you guys got, thanks so much for hopping on. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Very interesting, very helpful.
You're welcome.
So like I said, I'll put this on YouTube as fast as I can. So, and thanks so much. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Next
Thank you
time.
all.
Bye.
Thank you.